In this short podcast, we will look at the problem with AI. The problem with AI is, well, as I was thinking about putting this podcast together, I started by writing that the problem with AI is that AI can't think. AI has access to information. It has access to facts. AI can define and describe things. It's pretty good at that. Not perfect, but pretty good. But AI doesn't think. Let me say that again. AI cannot think. It doesn't actually perform what we call an assessment or an analysis. It can't tell us what's right. It can't tell us what's wrong. It can't tell us what's good. It can't tell us what's bad. It can't make moral judgments. And because it's not human, it doesn't understand human intention, human experience, emotion, or how we might connect with other people based on our shared humanity. So, as I was thinking about that and starting to write this, it occurred to me that this really isn't the problem with AI. I'm going to begin this again, and I'm going to say that the problem with AI is that people who use AI believe that AI can think, when in fact, AI cannot think. And if we believe that AI can think, we then let it do our thinking for us. If we do this, we can be confident that very little to no actual thinking is taking place. And that's not a good thing. We might use AI to gather our facts, to get our definitions and descriptions. But the burden of thinking and understanding, assessing, analyzing, and finding out what those things mean is not something that AI can actually do. We have to do this for ourselves. Critical thought is what we do. It's something that you must do. When we look at the cases in this course, there will be a temptation for you to post or submit lists of facts, definitions, and descriptions. Primarily because you can rely on AI to easily extract that from each case. And we may fooled into thinking those lists look great. But what does it actually mean? The purpose of a case review is analysis and assessment. We are given the facts and the definitions and the descriptions of what happened. We have to do more than just list those things. Sharing a list is not analysis. The purpose of our case review is to use our critical thinking to understand what those things mean through an assessment and analysis. When we talk about that which is obvious, all the facts, the definitions, and the descriptions from each case are part of the obvious. They are obvious because they are given to us. It takes no effort for us to find them. What takes effort is for us to choose which of those has the greatest value for an assessment, followed by an analysis leading to some finding or determination about what the case means. Consider this. If we have a case that centers on whether or not an employee should be paid overtime, AI will tell us that the significance of the case is that employers must properly pay their employees overtime. Though this is a true statement, it is not the result of critical thought. We did not need a legal case to tell us that employers know they have an obligation to pay overtime. Before the events took place that resulted in this case, there was general knowledge that overtime must be paid. That is not something we learned from the case. What then do we learn from a particular case? That's where your critical thinking, your assessment, your analysis, and the findings are needed. Each case we look at might teach us more than one thing. The collection of facts may be interpreted in different ways. It is up to you to determine what or why the case is important and support that view with data and evidence. You use the facts from the case, evidence from your research, and based on your assessment and analysis, you come up with your findings. You do this by interpreting the data and the evidence. You find a way to translate what you find into what is called application. This means we want to know what the case means for what somebody does on the job in the real world. That is the important learning, and that begins to point to the significance of the case. Remember, AI will tell you that the topic of the case is significant. Truthfully, nope, it is not. That is too obvious. If the topic of the case is really the significance of the case, then there is no need to even read or assess the case. AI will tell you that managers need to be trained on the law. Yes, but that's not new, so it is not significant. We know that for every single case. AI will inform you that the employer must have a policy that addresses the topic of the case. That's not new. We all know that already. That's a given. We know that already for every single case. AI will tell you that the employer must follow the law. Again, that's not new. That's a given. We all knew that before there was a case. This means doing training, having a policy, following the law, and other similar items that are deemed to be significant are, in fact, not significant for any of the cases in this course. Certainly, those things must be done, but the fact that they must be done does not mean they are the significance of the case. The reason those things are not significant is because we know all those things for every single case ahead of time. We know those things today. We have cases coming up in the next 7 weeks. Those items, knowing the law, following the law, training managers, having a policy, doing the right thing. Those things are known in advance for every single case that we will encounter, no matter what the topic of that case. Therefore, logic tells us those cannot be the significance for any of the cases. Something else has to be. That is your job. You have to do the assessment and analysis to find out what is important about the case and what does it mean for the workplace. That means you have to understand the facts. You have to understand the definitions and descriptions. That's the tip of the iceberg, meaning it's visible, it's obvious. The rest of the iceberg is huge. It's below the water. It's not obvious. It's not visible. We don't know the shape of it until we dive in and explore. We have to go below the surface and look. That's where critical thinking comes in. So, the big problem with AI isn't that AI can't think, which it can't. The big problem with AI is that users believe AI can think when, in fact, AI does not think. In addition to not thinking, keep in mind that AI is a resource-based tool. AI manages its resources. It expends the least amount of energy necessary to respond to a prompt, which means that it will give you overly generalized, generic, surface-level, and obvious information. AI is designed to optimize and minimize the expenditure of energy. In a sense, AI is lazy because of this. AI conserves energy by being shallow, obvious, generic, and overly general. AI will give you obvious, surface-level responses that do not include deep thinking, critical thought, analysis, assessment, or real-world application that is connected to what we might call the human experience. Don't fall into the AI trap and believe it will do your thinking for you. It won't because it can't.